Hi, I'm Chris Coghlan. I'm 58 years old. I am a father of two wonderful children, a daughter and a son. I've been married for almost 40 years now. I love sports. I love playing hockey. I love playing golf, baseball. I love fishing. I love the outdoors. I've been at the same job now for almost 38 years, and I really enjoy my job, which is nice. I help manage an oil refinery here in Southern Ontario. It's recycling, re-refining oil companies. So we're actually a good environmental company. We take the old oil out of cars and industries and we refine it back to its pure state. So it goes back into the environment. We use about 85% less of the energy that it takes to make a gallon of oil from crude oil. And I like to live a positive life. I met my wife when it was the summer of 79, and I met her at a roller. When we first met, we didn't quite get along, but it took us a little while and we got together. We got together, I believe, just the spring of 1980. And we were 16. Yeah, we had a lot of fun together. We complimented each other. And 2 years later, we got married when we were 19. Against all odds, everybody told us. And we've been married now for, again, like I say, almost 40 years. We've been together for about 43, 44 years. So it's been great. 21-year-olds having a child, it was pretty special. We were very lucky, and we had our second child just about 2 years later. So we were young parents, and but we were up for the challenge. It was exciting. It was scary. We had to learn a lot of things, but we had some good support groups. Both our parents really helped us get through that. My wife wanted to start a family right away, but we were 17. So we courted for a while. And again, we got married when we were 19. And we decided at that time we had to be married at least 2 years before we would have a child. So it worked out pretty good. We brought our first child home, Candace, exactly 2 years on our second year anniversary. And that was really special. Uh, Having a child was a crazy thing for us. To life at the Coghlan household with the kids growing up, I'd like to say it was happy chaos because there was a lot of stuff going on. Both daughter and my son were very active. The sports, the extracurricular activities that we went through, anything from hockey to rugby to football, baseball, art classes, figure skating, power. It was, we were busy all the time. And we liked that because it helped get, one, it helped tire the kids out, which was great, but it really helped us get out into the community. Both my wife and I volunteered for coaching a lot of the teams that our children played on, but it was happy chaos, I would say. It was great. I really think it noticing Candace's health was more my wife really recognizing some things about Candace, who she was always very bright-eyed, always into two or three or four things at the same time, and had a lot of life, a lot of spark in her. And I believe it was a week or two before that my wife had said she had noticed it to my daughter and had said, "You need to go and get your blood work checked." Just because, it could have been a flu or it could have been something, but she pretty much said, "You will do it." And said, "This is something that's important. You need to get this checked out." So she did. She went and got it checked out. We were just up the night before and we were playing games out on the deck. And we got the call at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And even to this day, we're not sure why we answered the phone. My wife answered the phone, but it was an irregular call at 2 o'clock. We got the call and it was terrifying. it was, you need to get Candace to the hospital right away. We have a team waiting for her. So we got up, obviously tried to keep as calm as we could, went to wake up Candace. And she, of course, was very groggy. She was right in that point where it was a turning point. And so we got her up, and they did. They had a crew there waiting for her specifically. And it was pretty terrifying. When we got in, we knew that they had said something in regards to the kidney. They believed that the kidney was failing. And for my background, both my mother and my uncle had suffered from kidney disease. So right away, I was in a panic mode. And my wife, she was, of course, we were both extremely concerned on what was happening. So while this was going on, we knew what kidney failure meant and what it could mean. We just didn't realize to the extent that Candace was at, to that where she was in renal failure. So when the doctors came out and said, hey, literally, thankfully you got her in when you did, because she may not have woken up the day before. And that was tough. But we had her there. So we knew now that she was in a situation where they could take care of her. It was nerve-wracking. It was terrifying, like I say. It was scary. But at least we knew we had gotten her somewhere where they were going to hopefully take care of her, which we still didn't know at that time what was happening. We didn't know if she was at the end point, or she may not make it out, or if it was just, okay, hey, we got this, and she'll be okay. So there was a lot of concern, obviously a lot of worry at that time. When I heard that Candace needed dialysis, it was, of course, shocking. But because of the history of my family, I kind of knew what that meant. Hooking to a machine and cleaning the blood out that the kidney couldn't do in itself. We were both scared and grateful that at least there was something that we could do with Candace and keep her living, really. Because my mother had gone through dialysis and my uncle had gone through dialysis, we knew what we were in for, but we weren't for sure what was going to happen. It was more, okay, we understand what that means, and let's move forward. Let's get this going so she can get back on her feet. When the dialysis started in the center, the hospital, we knew what was going to entail every day, every other day, however long it would take. So it was really an adjustment to life, what we were normally doing. Instead of going out playing baseball or going out and visiting friends or doing something, we knew that this day was for dialysis, and we knew that a few hours out of her day was going to be taking Candace to the center and sitting with her and gabbing, and reading books, or sitting there while she napped, or just to be with her. And it was just something we knew we were going to do. It didn't make it negative as far as one would think, oh, now I've got to go and take again. It was more, this is what we're doing. So this is what we need to do to keep Candace going. And it doesn't matter if we have to do it. It was just something that we did. And it was something we talked about it as a family and said, this is what we're going to do. It's going to change our life a bit, but it's what we need to do. When Candace went from hemodialysis to peritoneal in the house, it was strange, of course. We had a 5-gallon gas pail to collect whatever, and she would lay down and then go through her dialysis treatment in her bedroom, and then wake up and disconnect, if you want to call it, from the machine. And off we went. Off the day was. So for us, it was great to have Candace home so that we knew we could take care of her if she needed something. And it was also nice for Candace that she didn't have to pack up, go to the center, go through the hemodialysis, and then drive home and just be totally exhausted. I think it was great because she could sleep while it happened, as much as she could sleep. and then wake up and, hey, let's see what we can do today. So I honestly think that was a great turning point for Candace because I think she realized then, hey, I can do this from home. This makes me feel more comfortable. I can read a book, I can watch a movie, I can play a game, and then I can sleep through this, which was for us, it was, I think, a real big game changer for Candace and for the family too, knowing that she was just down the hall and she was okay. When we first found out that Candace could have a live donor, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about who it was going to be. I knew from my past, from my mother and from my uncle, having the kidney disease in my family, I was kind of X'd out of it. So I really wasn't a candidate that could have done it. Although, of course, I wish I could have. But quite honestly, even if I was, there was no way in a million years I was going to stop her mother from doing it. When we found out and we had the discussion with the team, she would have pushed me down on the ground and ran over top of me and said, I'm first. So she was really the one that said, this is something I feel. I just have a feeling that it's going to be no matter what. The testing process was, it was a pretty rigorous process. There was a lot of things that my wife had to go through as far as physically, a lot of it mentally as well, but physically making sure she was in A1 top shape and eating properly and making sure that her iron was up in her blood. Typically, she had lower iron, but she worked on every aspect that they asked her to work on. She dove headfirst into it. And she, there was no way anybody was going to stop her. She wanted to make sure that out of 100 points of making her a viable donor, she had 105. That's just was her mentality. So we worked together. It was good for both of us because we started eating better. The exercise was there. She had in her mind where she wanted to be physically, mentally. That was just her. She just was laser, and as a family, we worked together just to make sure that she could do that. And there was a lot of times where she had to go to tests by herself, and I stayed home with the kids, and she did. She anywhere they wanted her to go, she went. So for me, it was I had to accept that, which was okay, but then just be really supportive and letting her what she did. She there was no stopping. That was pretty special. So when we got the news that my wife was good to go, that was pretty cool. It was something that we had waited for. It was something that my wife had worked for. And even though we were pretty certain that the match was going to be perfect, we still weren't 100% sure. It could have come back something weird. And then that would have been crushing. And we got the date, and that was pretty cool because the date meant something. It was 09/09/09 at 9 a.m. So September 9th, 2009 at 9 a.m. So that was really an added icing on the cake for us. It made the number 9 a little special for us. That day was, for me, it was a blur. There was so much that we had to do. We had to make sure that my wife and my daughter were there in plenty of time for preparing for the surgery. We had to prepare the family. We had a lot of support. We had some friends and family that wanted to be there during the surgery, and it was hectic, but we knew what we needed to do. Each hour we knew we had to be here. Each hour we needed to have this done. We needed to make sure that my girls were ready to go. And we were just back saying, hey, let's make sure we're there on time. Let's make sure we're all prepared for what's going to happen today. And that was a challenge in itself, just preparing myself, my son, mentally. Physically, it was just us being there, but mentally it was a big thing for us to realize that my son's sister and his mom, that my two girls this was a big deal. So it was a lot to prepare, but we knew what we had to do. The transplant team told us this is what's happening, this is what's going to happen, and we basically followed the schedule, which, thank goodness. Obviously, that's what they're going to do, but it kind of helped us stay focused. When the surgery was happening, of course, it was terrifying. You're very anxious. You're not sure what's happening. You literally watch that second hand go around the clock, and it seems 5 minutes is 5 minutes. It sounds cliche, but it feels that way. You get up, you walk around, you talk to your friends and your family, just waiting for that door to open and the doctor to come out. And the doctor came out and said, the surgery went really well. Your wife, everything is good. It was great. Everything worked out perfectly. And of course, that was a huge relief because both my girls were under the knife at the same time. And I'll tell you, it was pretty terrifying. So to hear that your wife is great, that she's doing okay, of course, that relieves a lot of that pressure, half the pressure. The rest of the pressure is, what about my little girl? What's going on? A little while after, the doctor came out and said everything went perfect. The kidney's in, and it already started producing urine pretty much the second it was put in place. And that was at the point where the relief was crazy. The entire waiting room just exploded like we had won the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl. It was a huge exhilaration. Way to go. Everybody was crying. It was pretty exciting. The waiting period I was okay. I was calm then. We were all calm that everything went well. And as the girls were in the recovery and waiting, well, I was the one waiting to get to see them. I got to see my wife first, and it was pretty awesome. Just going in to be able to say, hey, you know what, you did it. It was amazing. She's fine. The kidney's working. And I know they had mentioned that to her during the recovery, but she didn't remember it. For her, it was all just a haze. She had 100% certainty that this was going to work. Sending great energy into the process and being able to talk to her and say, hey, honey, it worked. Everything worked. It was great. That was huge. That was a way to go. You did it. And then when I got to see Candace, that was really special because there's my little girl. She's going to be okay. We hope. But at that point, it was, wow, hey, you did it. You guys did it. It worked. You're going to be okay. So it was pretty awesome. The whole process. It was pretty emotional. There were times where I was really scared. And there were times where I was super, super happy and super grateful. Grateful for what my wife had done, grateful for Candace's strength, grateful for the team that was there that put everything into this and did I could say, a perfect job. So it was pretty awesome, especially after everything was over and you could say everything's okay. That was kind of the finishing point, which was pretty special. Fortunately, I had my son Christopher, who was there to help me as much as he could. And So preparing the house was basically, hey, we got to clean it up, make sure it's spick and span, make sure it's good for the girls to come home. And then picking the girls up, the day we were picking them up, I drove down and picked up both girls to stay at home. And bringing them home was an interesting trip because there were a lot of bumps and potholes. And the vehicle we had at that time, it was more of a truck than it was of a car. So there were a lot of potholes I was trying to not drive over to char them, and they were both in the car going, "Oh, ouch!" So by the time we got home, I think they were happy to get out of the car. And then getting them home, having them there, it was great for myself because now I knew I had my girls home. The cooking and cleaning and all that kind of stuff, that was just what you do. So it was hectic for two guys to try to match their cooking, which you couldn't because they're both wonderful cooks. And the nice thing about it is we had a really great community that would bring us over dinners, bring over lasagnas or chilies or whatever. So that really helped, and I thought that was really special. The community came together, and was which was really great. But we made it through. So yeah, it wasn't tough. It was just something we did, and it was nice that we could do that to help them out. It kind of made us feel like we were doing something. How it impacted me was as a husband, just being so proud of what my had done, and as a father, being so proud of the courage that my daughter showed through the whole process, both of them together. They were really a dynamic duo that pretty much saved each other's lives. And I can say that because it meant so much to me as a father. And you always have that as a father, you're a protector. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your family. And in this time, I had to step aside and I had to let my wife take the lead, which was probably the best person to do it. And then watch my daughter going through her challenges and then working through the fear together and then working together as a family to get through it. So I'm proud of what they've done. And I'm proud of being able to say that for the little part that I had, that we as a family got through it. And I would say we're a lot closer now because of it. Of course, that's a dramatic thing that you go through. If you get through okay as a family, I think that, I know it makes you stronger no matter what. It's a pretty special thing, especially now that we have it from my daughter and from Candace. And she's really the love of our life, even though my wife and my daughter are the loves of my life. Now I've got a third generation girl, and that's really because of this whole process and how it worked out. So it's pretty special. We're pretty lucky. We're pretty grateful. When my daughter called me and had told me about this genetic disorder, 1 in a million or whatever that was a huge relief for me because the history of my family, my mother and my uncle, brother and sister, they both had kidney failures. So right away when this happened to Candace, there was a guilt that I carried around for a long time because right away I thought she's got that from my side of it was my side that caused this, even though fortunately I didn't have that. And they say sometimes it skips a generation. There was a lot of guilt that I had, and of course it's not my fault, but you can't help but think that, hey, this is from my lineage. And when Candace called me and said, hey, Dad, here's something that is really incredible. And she was going through some genetic testing, and they found this extremely rare DNA that was missed or somehow. And it was really something crazy because you had to have both parents that had this and would create it. So it's kind of like a unicorn match between my wife and I, even though it didn't work out as magical as a unicorn would have. But it was a very rare, and for myself, it was a pretty big relief. It was okay, okay. And even though I shouldn't feel that guilt, you always do, no matter how you look at it. And so that was a huge thing. It was something that really hit me. And I could tell the Candace when she was telling me, it was still hard for me to compute. And finally, it was like, okay, Dad, now you know, hey, this is a very rare thing that happens 1 in a million or 10 million or whatever it was. So it was a big relief. But I would say as a caregiver, you need to look at it as you're a partner in this, and you are there to help get not just yourself, the person that you're giving the care to, really to help them emotionally and physically, and just do it. It works out, hopefully, and be grateful you have that opportunity to help them as a caregiver. And it's, you don't look at it as a job or something that you have to do. You want to do it because those are the people that you love. And if everything works out, then you you've done a great job, and be grateful that you are there to spend that time with them and help them through. It's not easy. It changes your life, and you work through it. You work through it day by day. You're the one there that's helping that person hopefully have a sunny or take away a little bit of that gloom and help them out. Physically is one thing, but mentally is a big thing. And be grateful that you're there and do it. Just do it. It pays off. I think one of the big things I'd like to add to it is we had a great team that worked with us, and the hospitals, maybe don't get enough credit for what they do, but the team that we had with Candace helped us through pretty much every step, and giving kudos to them, I think, is super important, because without them, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. And I don't think they get enough credit. So I would say that's a big thing. Trust the people that you're working with, do what they ask, follow what they say. They're the experts in this type of thing. And say thanks. It's a big thing. And as far as your family goes, be there for them. If you can be strong, if you're weak, then lean on somebody else. But get together and really work as a team with everybody that's involved. My favorite thing to do as a family it's evolved over the years. It used to be fishing with the kids and being outdoors. Now it's getting together as a family and having those dinners and those sit arounds and those talks and playing games, and just really being together and hanging out is probably one of my favorite things. Of course, going on trips and going to college or something like that's fantastic. But the biggest thing for me is spending time and just talking, being with each other. That's probably the most important thing.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
That's a good question. If you ask my kids, they tell you I'd be a pine tree because I like being out in the woods up north. I think one of the things, I think probably the tree I would be a maple. And I think the reason that they change with the season, and as a person you have to change. They're strong, and hopefully I'm that way with my family. That they can be messy in the fall when they drop all their leaves, and I'm sure I can, not the greatest all the time, but they got also really be healthy and support the people around them. So I think a maple, and because it's Canadian and maple leaves and the Canada flag, I think that'd be a maple.